4 decades ago, when I started my lawn care business, I stuffed up big time. You see, I knocked back a customer that I thought he was going to be hard work. Yet my mate, he took it over and made tens of thousands of dollars for year after year. Big mistake by my part. Lost a lot of revenue. G'day viewers, Jeff McPhee's Gardening, Melbourne, Australia. Today's video we're going to talk about the big mistake I made. But one thing I did, I learnt from it, and I got 5 strategies that I adopted myself and it worked for me. Stay tuned, may be of interest, may help you out. It all started, I received a call from this guy and he's got the commercial properties. He was a bit arrogant, he was very straight to the point. I started getting those red flags we all talk about. Remember, this is when I'm first starting out, so I'm not really that experienced in business. But I didn't like the way he was talking. So I thought, well, I'll give it a crack. So I went to the site and he introduced and we met. Straight away, I didn't like him. He just had that arrogance. I believed he was looking down at me, but, you know, you'll hear the story soon. So he shows me around and straight away I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And I just listened and I said, okay, I'll email you a quote tonight. Went home. And I said, oh, and by the way, he also said, oh, the manager, he needs his property looked after as well. And it's some 20 kilometres away. And I thought, I'm not going to travel all that way. Anyway, to myself, so I sent him off the email and I said, listen, I'm sorry. We've looked at our schedule and we can't fit you in. Anyway, as it turned out, my mate, he'd been going for a few years. He accepted the job. And boy, did I really make a big blue. He made tens of thousands of dollars. What happened was he was there. He listened to what they proposed. They had other office complexes, factories, which the present gardening company were doing a bad job. So he took that over. That residence 20 kilometres away was a 5-acre property. Because I didn't ask questions. I thought property, house, garden. Didn't think any more of it. He listened. 5 acres, and by that time he got 2 or 3 in that particular lane. So he ended up getting quite a big profile of properties under this main company. It worked out, I worked out roughly at least 10 grand a month he was making or was turning over. I missed out on that all because I assumed that it was going to be hard work. So after missing out on that lucrative contract, I learnt very quickly. I developed 5 strategies that I use throughout the career, and I'm going to let you know what I do. The first one is I never jump to conclusions too fast. My mate said, I thought the guy was arrogant, but he wasn't. He was under pressure because my mate said to him his head office was on his tail to get this thing done, to make sure everything was going to be sorted quickly. And of course, you know, he was under the pump. So what I gathered from that is any future clients that I have that I'm chasing, I make sure that I stop and just listen, because I assume that they're arrogant, but they've got other problems. We don't know what's going on in their lives. It is very hard to work out what that customer is about. It's easy for them. Our first impression is simple. 10 seconds, they know whether they like us or not. But our attitude towards that customer, we've got to be very careful. And I fell for the old 2-card trick of arrogance. I'm out of there. I lost a lot of money. The second thing is ask questions. Too many times people go in and I want to quote a job. There's not enough questions. I didn't ask enough questions. I didn't ask the manager's property. How big is it? What's involved? What's involved in the site? Have you got other factories associated with this? I didn't ask any of that because I had it in my mind, I don't want to deal with these people. And I missed out because I didn't ask questions. So any new client that looking in the future, I always ask lots and lots of questions. It is a rule 101 to winning that quote and to understanding what you're actually entering into. So you're not really judging the person, you're judging the work. And you'll only get that by asking questions. The third strategy I developed for myself was look at the big picture. Look past the arrogance or the perceived arrogance of the person that you're dealing with. You know, I failed to look past just that particular office complex. There was a manager's 5-acre property. There was a potential to get other properties nearby his properties. This particular company had other factories, other office complexes that weren't happy with their existing gardeners. And my mate one knows all of those. I could have been in that same position, but I failed to look past the person. So the big picture, whether it's just a domestic, normal residential lawn, I always look at the big picture. Look, if it's a one-off, look, I'm really not interested. I want that regular garden maintenance and lawn maintenance, for example. You'll know what you want, what's in your business plan. Mine was to make sure the big picture was always looked on every quote that I did. The fourth strategy was to set boundaries. So set the rules and boundaries of what you're to do, what the expectations are, what they require. Set your limitations down, what you will and what you won't do. Payment terms, all these little questions that you need to make sure that you understand. But if you set your rules, you set your boundaries, that client becomes at ease because they know you're going to be consistent. They know you're on the ball with it. So it's important to set those boundaries from the very start. And the last one is, if that person is actually arrogant, if they are really disrespectful, walk away. That's what I have done. I've walked away. I still walk away on a few because they're utterly disrespectful and I can't work with them. My assumption at the start, assuming this guy was arrogant, I called that one. But generally, if someone disrespects me, doesn't hold me as a business instead of the mower man or the gutter sweeper, no respect, I'm going to walk away. You know, what I've learned over the years, there's a big difference between someone being fussy in particular to someone that's actually been disrespectful. And those two differences are a huge factor in your success. And I found that very quickly and I learnt from that. It's going to happen to all of us, and it's something that it makes your business grow if you understand the psychic of your people that you're quoting for. As I said, don't assume. I've never assumed anymore. I just made sure I thought the whole process through. Sure, you've been around 20, 30, 40 years in your game. You walk up to customer, you're not really, if you want the work, you'll take it. If you're not really keen on it, you'll walk away, of course, because your business is already established. But when you're starting out, it's very easy, and I found it, to miss out on some great opportunities because I didn't think the whole process through. And it's experience, and that's how you learn. You learn by your mistakes, which I did, and it worked out well. Viewers, that's just my little take on working with customers that you think may be disrespectful, you think that they might be arrogant, but sometimes there might be a little bit more behind the closed door when you open it up. Have a good one. We'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching, and see you later.